Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the marvellous Out There Hour, home of rest for intelligent ideas and silly people.
Time now for the Out There Hour on Alternative Future Radio. The Out There Hour with Basil and Mark. www.alternativefutureradio.com.
Yay! Why? Why?
Again, we've got a board full of jingles.
We have a board full of jingles.
And they're all better than that one.
And yet you choose that one every time.
Every time I
What's
play
wrong
that
with
one.
you?
The other one's great. Unless you know. Not bad.
The Out There Hour on Alternative
Much
Future
nicer than the
Radio.
other
Why
one.
don't you play that one?
Because I know it bugs you.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning, good evening.
And afternoon.
Well, we're in the studio again, and we've got Dr. David Hunt in the studio.
Thank you.
Live, everybody, live. This means he can see us. When we've got blank expressions, he can actually tell.
Yeah, he can tell that we don't have another question when we don't have another question.
We've got our notes in full in front of us.
That's a blank piece of paper, Mark, you liar.
Well, this week we're going to talk about seasonal disorders.
Seasonal disorders.
I believe.
Yes, the way foods and eating, we're in season,
Yeah.
indigenous to the environment. That's the thing that I thought I would bring up and see how it affects the organs that's related to those seasons. And
how do you want to approach it? Do you want to start at this time of year and work your way around, or
yeah, we can start now because at the moment we're in the summer season, but we're actually in transition season from spring to summer.
Yeah.
Which means that we're still dealing with liver conditions. We should be still taking a cleanse for the liver, a detox for the liver.
Yeah.
And a lot of people seem to think that when we come into the summer season, as is now May, that everything's all right, start shedding things. But you've probably heard this old Irish expression. I've heard it many a time myself from patients that come in. Don't shed now till May is out, which is a good rule of thumb because the Chinese do look at this particular month as this transition from spring into summer. So that really stands quite well, that don't shed now till May is out.
Yeah, I've seen lots and lots of these Irish, particularly farmers, have got lots of sayings about what to do at different times of year. There are countless numbers of them I've heard.
Right. But it really is, proven to be the right decision. Don't shed now till May is out because we're going through that sort of spring detox still until we move into the summer. So,
and when you say shed, how are people shedding things? What are they shedding? And
well, you get into this thing, they're going to start going out tidying up their shed,
right?
Their tools,
right?
And they'll go out there, start thinking about what they're going to be painting and doing a bit of weeding and all these. So this is this transition time, it's
like a spring clean almost.
Yeah, exactly. Where that word comes from, spring clean, that means a detox. When I was young, my mother being a Wexford woman, we used to get syrup of figs and a worm dose, but no one ever does it now. But when I do talk to farmers that come in about this, they say, you're right, David, we still do it for the animals. We just forgot to do it for ourselves. So farmers confirm the very thing that I'm trying to educate people on, is this spring clean is very important to clean the liver up, clear out the toxins and parasites, bacteria and viruses from the body so that we can move nicely into a transition time of real summer where we can then start putting live foods into us for rebuilding.
Is there such a thing as a natural worm dose?
Yeah, we actually use one for ourselves and the family that I do recommend to patients when they come in, which is based on Dr. Clark's research, and it's a green black walnut tincture with wormwood and cloves. We use that particular program. It's a nice slow program, but the whole family can do it, and very easy to do, and it's reasonably priced, and it will be a complete parasitic cleanse.
When you say wormwood, I'm assuming, is that where the name comes from? Is that why wormwood's called wormwood?
Correct. Yeah, they use it. They use that for that reason. And over the years, and because I'm finding it more and more difficult now to source good Chinese herbs that we used to bring in for these things with the Codex Alimentarius legislation, and now we're finding it more and more difficult. Every couple of months, there's another natural product going off the market. Lobelia's under attack now. So these like St John's Wort was a few years ago.
Oh, that was a terrible thing.
That's on prescription in this country.
Yeah.
It's on prescription now, but I used to be able to just buy it.
Well, in Germany, if you try to do that in Germany, they'll go bananas there, because they do say about a third of the patients that are on depression drugs, they're on
much more effective.
St John's Wort.
Yeah, you go down the back of my seating area. You can pick your own. It's a small yellow flower.
I will do. Thanks very much. Don't tell anybody though, because you're not allowed to do that.
Well, that's why I want some lessons off of you, Mark, for all this foraging, because I want to get into that myself.
Yeah, that's an awfully good point. The John's Wort was a great thing, and many people. It's a bit different. It's fine when you can go in and buy it yourself, but going to a doctor and all that kind of thing, and the expense of the consultation,
Yeah. Well, my patients, when they come in that particular season, they'll ask me about, is there anything for a worm dose? I just give them the literature, let them make their own mind up, and with the way the internet is now, you can do your own research. But I find that, for myself and my family, very good. And it's one I recommend.
But do you make it yourself?
No, it all comes in from her clinic in Switzerland. We buy it from them, so it comes in with the three components, and we give a chart, so it's very slow. You tick it off every day. The drops that you're taking, you build them up. They go up in increments.
That's
and
handy.
then it's a good program.
With modern hygiene standards being better than they were 100 years ago, generally, and people knowing a little bit more about germs, are worms that prevalent?
More so now than ever before.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought. I thought they were all but gone. I thought they were
sugar,
out.
I think.
No.
Sugar?
Yeah, it's all the processed food and the sugar, Pure White and Deadly, that lovely book that I bought many years ago by Professor John Macinnes, who was an Australian professor and doctor. Pure White and Deadly, the world's most dangerous food additive, that's what we call it.
Yeah.
Something you can put down if you've got ants, and if they feed off of just that Pure White and Deadly, that sugar, it will wipe them out. That's how bad it is, because it's got nothing in there, only calories and poisons.
I like it.
I know
you smoke cigars, so I'm way in front of you.
Well, he nearly hypnotised me out of it last time, but I resisted.
Oh yeah, well I'm working on that. I did say you've got to come down for a treatment, and you'll go out a non-smoker.
I'm still laughing at Basil's excuse.
You're still reeling from the last time.
Or what's your main motivation? I haven't got one. That's why I like smoking.
Well, that's it. A lot of people do see. They say, like, I enjoy the smoking, but I want to give it up. So I mean, I'm a loser then. I want to get someone like that.
You're going to struggle, aren't you? You're in an uphill battle, I think, with that.
Yeah, I know now. You've got to want to give up.
That would be the usual. That would be the tradition, Basil. Going on to you mentioned before you go on to more stuff about summer. You were talking there about the Chinese medicines. Are there, and I'm assuming there are equivalents for this part of the world, because I mean I do a little bit of the indigenous stuff here, but I was wondering, I'm assuming that there's the same active ingredients, shall we say, in Western medicine as there is in Eastern. Yeah. Can you not get a local equivalent of some of this stuff that they're disappearing on you?
Well, because of the way the Chinese sort of have it all mapped out, and obviously cheaper to buy from China.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But what's happened now, if you go to China, the main Chinese hospitals that are involved with the factories that actually manufacture the Chinese medicine, a few years ago, it would all come out of the same factory and it would go around the world. Now, when you go to China and you see that the Chinese have got one lot made up for their own people, and then one lot for export. So this is the way it's gone. They've actually put pressure on the Chinese government for things that the Western consider toxins and poisons and detrimental. They're banned at source. So this is the type of thing we're under pressure with.
And the stuff that the Chinese are exporting, am I right in understanding that? I know with most things in China there is more than one grade. There's the grade of technology which gets the Chinese into space, and then there's the grade of Chinese that makes it into Argos. Is there the same thing with herbal medicine? Do you have a better class that they keep for themselves?
Well, there is that. As I said, there is the quality that they keep for themselves. But there's three main hospitals in China that actually produce good grade pharmaceutical medicine. Now, that, as you know, China and Hong Kong and these other outposts from Chinese medicine, there is some medicine that's being produced with not the efficacy that there should be in the medicine because they're using inferior products. That does go on.
Yeah.
You know, when I was in Malaysia, I was buying a particular herb. from a good source that I knew, and it had actually been copied. And the guy that was selling the herb showed me the packet, showed me the herb and the encapsulated blister capsule, and said, "Can you see the difference in that and in the original pack, David?" And I said, "No, I can't." So he said, "Well, nor can anybody else, and this is what we're up against." So I said, "Well, could you give me a letter to confirm that I actually buy that product from you and it's the original product?" He said, "No, I can't do it." I said, "Well, why not?" So he said, "Because if I give you that letter, you'll go down to one of these little
photocopy it,
and buy the stuff that doesn't work for half the price, and go back to Ireland and sell it, or back to the UK and sell it." So he said, "We can't do it." So these are the things you are up against. I mean, copyright and people out there that are going to try and make money by selling inferior products. So you've got to know where it's coming from. That is true. But it's like anything, it's the same everywhere you go, isn't it?
Yeah, true enough.
What's free range, what's organic, you have to keep going back until you make sure that you're going to get what they say it is.
Yeah, free range is an interesting one. You're not allowed... I've got chickens, you've got chickens. Have you got chickens?
No, I did have.
All right, well.
They used to come up and do their business on the doorstep all the time.
That's the problem.
I've got chickens and they roam around. They've got about half an acre of land, but I can't call them free range. Because that's a specific stamp that the government has to give you. I can't call them organic, even if I feed them on nothing except food I grow myself, because that, again, is another official stamp designed to separate people with the money, basically.
But they're both.
But they are indeed both, for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, but it was like us with the clinic. I set up about 5 years ago Cancer Care Ireland under the auspices of the professor back in Malaysia, Chinese doctor that I work with, a retired professor of botany. He has a cancer care clinic there and very successful with his treatments, Dr. Chris Teo. And see, we can care for a cancer patient, but I can't treat a cancer patient. Even if I had a cure for a cancer patient, I would be locked up if I used that.
For practicing medicine without a license.
Exactly. I'm not a medical doctor, and you can't treat and you can't diagnose. And,
that's an individual choice, isn't it, surely? To me.
To you, you could come to me, but I actually would say to you that, I'll care for you as a cancer patient, but I would, if I mentioned the cure word, I could be locked up for it. So you have to be...
Wow.
You have to be careful. Like Dr. Wallach said many years ago when I brought him here on radio, Southeast Radio at that particular time, and I asked him to go easy because I knew his comments were quite strong, and he said, look, given half a chance, the doctor will kill you, and we can't mention the cure word, but we can say we get you 100% better.
So we discussed this. We discussed this, Dave, about that thing that came up. 70% of doctors said they wouldn't take chemotherapy if they got cancer.
True, from what I've read, exactly the same thing.
But you mentioned this. Is it a Chinese doctor? I know about Dr. Gerson.
Yeah, Gerson.
Cancer
Charlotte's running that clinic now, and they've moved into Tijuana in Mexico because again...
So they're further away again.
Well, because you have to go there to actually treat a cancer patient. In America, you're not allowed to do it unless you're medically recognised or unless you're using the things that they say you need to be using.
And it's Dr. Gerson Tia, is
Gerson.
Dr.
Teo.
Dr. Tia, is that a different treatment then for cancer?
Yes, he actually produces his own herbs. He does use similar juicing and dietary factors that the Gerson therapy is, which I would recommend patients, to remove as much protein as possible. According to the China study, this was a big study. You might have read that book or seen that book. It's very interesting about how they would detoxify the body with coffee enemas and juicing.
Yes.
And it's very powerful, And I've just come back from a month where I've actually taken that myself. I went away for a month so that I could juice and cleanse for a month because I've been in Ireland 22 years. And previously, when I was back in the UK with my martial arts and yoga, I was always involved in that type of thing. Every few months we'd do a fast for a weekend course we were doing free of charge. If you'd done the course free of charge, you fasted for the day or the weekend. So I was always into fasting and cleaning my body, but unfortunately I slipped behind ways. I've been here and I haven't done it, so I decided, that I wanted to go away for a month and I wanted to do the Gerson therapy. So I done that.
But if you're in Ireland or the UK, what are your options if you want to pursue, if you've got cancer and you want to pursue, a holistic treatment? Where can you go? I mean, who can you see?
Well, you need to see someone like, Charlotte Gerson. She's running that clinic in Tijuana. There's the Hoxie Clinic that is in Mexico because...
But they're so far away.
Exactly. Well, there is Gerson are actually training people now in Europe, so there is other areas.
But will they be allowed?
Well, this
is the problem. As I say, I can care for a cancer patient. I can give them advice, and but as I say, we can't even if I could cure them,
limited.
I can't say
C word.
You're limited.
Yeah.
But going back to what you started on, you were talking about the summer and your seasonal problems, shall we say?
Yeah.
What is big in summer then? What are people mostly suffering from this time of year?
Once you've cleared up that springtime, the liver time, got that out of the way, you should have cleared up all your liver and your kidney, flushed your body out, then you should be preparing for the summer. And then you get into this summer season, people suffer with allergies and all this type of thing. Because the farmers are going out there now running around with their tractors and everything and stirring up a lot of pollen and all this type of thing. So it's that sort of transition time of moving into the summer where you get those type of conditions. And summer brings in the heart and small intestine, that particular meridian that the Chinese talk about, the summer season. So we've moved away from the springtime, which is liver, into the summertime now, which is heart and small intestine. We have the 5 emotions on the hand. I try and explain to people to memorize it. Worries on the thumb, so we worry, fear on the index finger, grief on the middle finger, anger on the middle finger, grief on the ring finger, and then heart and small intestine on the little finger. See, worry affects your stomach and spleen. You get children putting that thumb in their mouth, sucking it. It's because they're worried, you know. So continual worry will affect stomach and spleen. Fear affects the kidneys, the index finger. You see children come into my clinic thinking I'm going to stick a big needle in them. They've got that fear finger up there, you know. So you know it matches up. I don't even talk to them till they bring that finger down because I know they've already got that fear factor. And I think last time I spoke about fear, we FEAR, we call it false evidence appearing real. A very nice one to explain to the patient. It's all in your mind and we're not going to do anything like that. And then the Americans will show you the anger, the middle one, you know, suppressed anger or expressed anger, like sits on that finger. So you know, that's why the good die young sometimes. They've suppressed it all.
It's quite interesting, that gesture you're making.
Sorry about it. I didn't mean to direct that to you, Basil.
He's showing me his middle finger.
In a friendly way.
And then we got the grief finger. That's probably why they put the ring finger on there. Like, grief affects your lung and large intestine, you know, so very, very, very important. And then the heart and small intestine, like sadness and trying to do too much. The Japanese call it trying to do too much. We're human beings. We're just meant to be here, not human doings, are we? You know. So so they're the particular organs that's associated. Because when anyone comes in that's causing their physical condition, their liver or their kidney, it could be their emotion. Because the Chinese have got these emotions mapped out to the organs, and quantum physics tends to understand this and agree with it now. So very, very interesting.
When you say those organs are, would you say, active at this time of year? Is that when you say those, you give a list of organs for the summer? Then was it let me just get the one there. For the summer, which one was it? Was
the
it
heart and small intestine.
Now, are you saying that they're prone to problems at this time of year?
They'll be moving into that particular organ, so you know it'll be time to nourish it. Basically,
right.
That's the way they look at it, to take care of it, because we're moving into that transition time.
Well, last time you were on, you were making a point about eating what's in season when it's in season.
Very important, Basil. That foods that are indigenous to your environment, that grow in season. If you really go by that rule of thumb, because I see everyone's an individual, and there's no point in me reading out something to, you're one of your listeners that's in Australia or maybe in California where the season's different.
Saudi Arabia.
So, so the rule of thumb is when someone's sick and say, well, what can I eat, David? I said, look, if it's in season, it's indigenous to your environment, that's what you should be eating.
People tend to crave what's good for them, I find.
Right, Mark,
maybe not if you've got an eating problem, but generally I think people tend to think, well, a friend of mine, for example, he knows, and he's been diagnosed as having a vitamin C deficiency, and he knows, I think he's sort of borderline, and he knows when he's dipping in it because he craves lemon juices and things like that.
Yes.
See, women, when they're usually pregnant, they don't have an innate wisdom of craving for what the baby needs.
Yeah, so they end up munching on coal and equally insane stuff.
Yeah, eating minerals,
what the hell's in coal that you might want to
eat? It's a mineral, isn't it?
It looks tasty, I must admit.
Yeah.
Is it iron or a mineral or something?
Must be some sort of mineral,
Well, that's right. It's like a horse, like they call it piker, don't they? Where a horse is eating the wooden stable. When I got my horses and it started eating the wooden stables that I brought over, one chap who's keeping horses said that's because they're deficient in minerals. I checked that out with Dr. Wallach. He said,
yes.
So if you give them the right minerals, they don't do all that piker, like eating all the wood and eating because they're trying to compensate. Very interesting.
Incidentally, there's been a lot of talk in the alternative media rather than mainstream media about the foods that people are eating today being deficient in actual minerals. So you can go and get yourself a large double burger, shall we say, with gherkins, not to name a particular company, and you'd still find yourself hungry afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's no actual nutrients in the food.
Yeah. I think I did mention this last time as well. And I get farmers in, as you know, and I told you before, and I can always learn off of them because I throw across them the knowledge that I know and see what they say. And when I ask them now, you tell me what you put on the land there, how many minerals you put on. And they'll say, what do you mean?
Minerals?
10, 20, nitrogen, potassium, phosphates, that's all you're putting on. NPKs. You're right, David. They admit it.
But when was the last time they spread blood and bone meal? Or
that's it. Or iodine on their seaweed and all that. Which I got another good friend that grows some things in a tunnel, and he extracts the seaweed and mixes that. Makes a concoction up and puts that on his tomatoes.
I'm planning on getting some seaweed actually in the next week or so for my land. Actually,
very good for gardening.
Yeah, it's very good. They use it a lot where the potatoes grow because it grows near the sea usually.
So it's interesting to think, that's all they're putting on the soil, and that's why we're not getting the flavouring in the food because of the minerals content. Wallach brought this up a lot. He's a very interesting guy, because they done all the research as a vet, one of the world's leading vets. He done all the research with the animals, so they know that they treat animals better than they do us. Even I think. Some of the animal products actually got more minerals in than baby formulas. That was another thing that was listed at one particular time. To think of that, we're giving more minerals to rats that are being tested than we are to babies.
Incidentally, I had a period where I was training for about 6 months because I was going to go walking. I was doing a 300-mile walk across the Himalayas.
Okay.
And I lived opposite a McDonald's, right? And I went there literally because I was so lazy. I went there every day and I had a McDonald's breakfast.
Yeah, sure.
I had a quarter pounder with cheese meal for lunch.
Yeah.
I had another one for my tea, and I had a chocolate milkshake for my supper. And I did that literally. It was about the same time as that film, that Super Size Me.
I'm just writing it down here. Super Size Me.
The guy put on a load of weight, right?
You remember the film Super Size Me? He went to McDonald's for all day.
He ended up basically borderline diabetic. Well, I did exactly the same thing for about, I think it was about 4 to 6 months, or maybe closer to 6 months, and I lost 4 stone.
Is that an endorsement?
Work that out. I was exercising. There was no calories in the food. When I was exercising, I was burning real calories, but the food was providing nothing.
But you were probably deficient in other ways, were you?
I probably was.
Nutritionally.
If you were doing that long term, you would be.
Yeah.
But obviously,
Yeah.
you got back into mixing your food again. you
Yeah,
know, so-
yeah.
That chap on Super Size Me, I mean, he was pretty ill after the
Oh, he
year.
looked pretty sickly, didn't he? Yeah, yeah. But for me, I ate a load of it, and but I was exercising a lot, and I lost weight because I think there was just literally calories in there and no real content. I was just burning the calories off quickly, but there was no. I think there's no protein in the meat even.
No protein, no enzyme, nothing live.
I should have been really, really fat.
But you mentioned China, and we were discussing this. They took the fluoride out of the water in China, didn't they?
I don't think they ever had it in it.
They didn't have it in it because, on account of it being unsafe, no doubt about it.
They did do a test in China recently. I think it was last year. A clinical trial, a proper double-blind clinical trial, where they put a healthy dosage of fluoride into one town's water, and then a reasonable-sized town to compare the two, and it lowered, I think, the IQ of the children in that town, and it was the people who were at the brighter end of the spectrum. It lowered theirs the most, and I think it was only a 6-month trial, but it lowered them by about 12 or 15% in 6 months, and that was only on a 6-month exposure. Imagine what 20, 30, 40 years is going to do.
For people who might not be aware, in the Republic of Ireland, of course, we're fluoridated.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Mandatory.
Quite high, actually, as well.
Quite high.
It's one of the highest.
Yeah.
Since 65, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I know of a particular housing estate, never mind the fluoride, the water's coming through an asbestos pipe.
Wow.
Did they make pipes out of
That's
asbestos?
serious, yeah. We discovered that, yeah.
Lead, I've heard of, but asbestos?
So I don't drink out of that particular tap.
No, I wouldn't. No. Go on.
Are we moving on through the seasons?
Go on,
Are we just-
No, I think because it's interesting what you said about fluoride, and I did mention it previously. You know, people can do a self-check for their thyroid. Very easy with some iodine tincture and put it on the arm, and if it's gone in the morning, you know you need it. We give that little leaflet to every patient because I'd like them to at least check how their thyroid is, make sure it's working to the potential it should be. Because again, then when we get in all these contaminants, we are getting rid of them through the thyroid, and it's helping to assist and detoxify the body. So
you're rather anti-fluoride, I take it.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean,
you're not on town water,
no.
I imagine you've got town water in your area because you're near a main road.
Well, there's a lot of lime in the water there, and we go through kettles and things like that. But we actually distill our water for drinking purposes.
Yeah.
People say, but what about the minerals? See, but they don't understand that a lot of the minerals that's in tap water they're inorganic anyway. They're not organic, so you don't utilise them. They're minerals that can accumulate in the body. So distilled water, that's what we take for drinking purposes. If I want to put minerals in my body, I put minerals in and vitamins and supplements, so I know what's going in, and mostly organic.
Yeah.
Well, with the fluoride, there's no choice. It's in the water.
No, exactly. It's frightening.
I know of a particular young lady making
do your plug.
Making a case against the state for bodily integrity. She's going to have a solicitor representing her.
Very good.
Lovely.
That time.
And she needs a bit of support. We need to have a few donations.
I imagine she'd probably be quite happy with a few donations.
It's not that the solicitor wants money, but he just wants the expenses.
Well, you can understand that.
So, which is
That's
pretty
going to come
good.
to a few quid, I imagine.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's not going to be megabucks, though.
No, it's not going to be a megabucks. A fiver from 100 people, maybe.
That'd be quite nice, wouldn't it?
Quite nice, yeah.
Summer, vitamin D. A friend of mine works as a taxi driver, and he starts work at something like 9 at night and finishes at 4 in the morning, and he's asleep most of the day, and he's up north, so in the winter he never sees the sun.
No.
What do you think to the whole vitamin D situation?
Very important, because all the latest research that's coming out about vitamin D and D3 is really top of the the talk at the moment about vitamin D. But a lot of people don't understand that not only sunshine we need, and people talk about we need calcium. Not so many people are deficient in calcium. What we actually need is magnesium.
Yes.
Most people are lacking in magnesium. Magnesium utilizes the calcium because it's synergistic calcium magnesium. So most people are actually lacking in magnesium. So we would advise them to take a magnesium supplement to utilize the calcium. And then obviously you need vitamin D to top it off, to synthesize it. So those 3 components there. Most people are only ever talking about or hearing about calcium.
Yeah, most people drink milk anyway, and there's plenty of calcium in that, and cheese and stuff. Tell me if this is right or wrong. Somebody told me that when your eye twitches, that's a deficiency in magnesium.
Yeah, it can. Well, any of those, magnesium, potassium, because the twitching, like cramps, that's typical. And most of the development, what was done by our magnesium citrate, was first done on the heart. And the heart is a muscle, as you know. It's a pump and a muscle. So when if you're getting a cramp in the heart, that's a heart attack coming. Anyone that comes in with those twitches, cramps and all that, the first thing I look at is checking their magnesium levels.
Where are they going to find magnesium and potassium naturally, assuming they don't want to go for supplements, if they want to do it with a diet?
Well, you'd have to go back to green leafy vegetables. I mean, the jacket potato would be a perfect one for potassium, because just under the skin is where all the potassium is. And then, finding out the particular vegetables that would give you magnesium and potassium. Most of them would, if you're eating them in their natural state again.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, so...
You mentioned Codex Alimentarius, and it's hard to explain, but they're taking a lot of the vitamins off of the market in Europe.
Every month you see more, they're being listed. What tends to happen in Ireland, because I monitor what's going on in Europe, as soon as the legislation's passed, it becomes statute, then the Irish just tend to accept it, and you see all the things just disappearing from the health food shops because of the suppliers to the local health food shops. In England, the same law would be passed, but they tend to just be on the go slow there, so it doesn't tend to go off the market.
England's not quite so EU friendly, is it?
Well, that's right.
No,
that's
exactly,
right.
Stick it where the sun don't shine.
True, Mark. So this is a problem that I find and frustrating, to try and keep up with, giving people supplements, quality
You
supplements.
must be running out of
all the time.
What you can get and what you can give.
True, and it's getting to that stage that we can't even, give it to ourselves, because it's something that I've been looking at health, nutrition and all that all my life, and I want something like that. So when it's taken out actually away from me, that is personally frustrating. And especially when you see patients suffering and there's something simple you can give them or do for them, and then it's out of your hands now because they're cutting it off at source. If they come in my clinic and I've got something which has been told or said as banned now. Well, that's banned, so I'm not allowed to sell it. If they come in and I have got it on the shelf, they'll shut me down. So,
well, that's what I was going to ask. I wonder, how long will it be before people like yourself, holistic practitioners, may come under the yoke of Codex Alimentarius until they start outlawing you?
Yeah, well,
because if they've started on the vitamins, it's only a matter of time, surely.
Well, that's what's happening in the States now. You see that people that are producing natural farming, natural raw milk, they're being vindicated now.
Eggs.
And eggs, you're not allowed to sell them. You haven't got a license, and raw is not good for you. You've got bacteria in there and all this. Their so-called story. So it's difficult. I mean, I would say in another few years, if it carries on the way it's going, you go and pick your stinging nettles in the spring, you'll be practicing medicine and you might be in trouble.
Yeah. That's it. Exactly. Or growing your own.
Oh, yeah.
You mightn't be allowed to grow your own vegetables.
No,
I mean, you probably end up you'll be forced to spray your nettles with Monsanto's finest. Because if you allow the nettles to cultivate, you'll be practicing medicine.
I mean,
where will that end?
Well, and what about that? You can't buy vitamins, David, but you can spray Roundup.
Oh, yeah.
On yourself.
I know.
If you so wish.
If you like.
And another point, as you brought it up, because I was thinking to ask you, Basil, just throw this amongst anyone that's listening. I hate using the Roundup, but the odd time I've got to use it to keep.
Same here, I have done.
So if there was an alternative, I'd love to know, because I actually went out and I actually picked up by hand some of the weeds that were coming up.
Well, I've done that, but then it's difficult.
It's very hard to control, so an alternative would be great.
The only problem is that the only thing that works, now we'll try and get the name right, it's sodium hydrochlorate, I think. That's what people used to use here, but it's the same stuff that they use to make fertilizer bombs.
Oh yeah.
So it's banned here.
Yeah.
But it's you can get it in any shop in England. I brought some back with me before I realised on the ferry. I bought it in a Poundland in England. I thought, that's great. They were going. A Poundland was closing down in Wales, believe it or not. And I bought a load of it. I thought, great, I'll have a load of that. But you can't buy it here. All you can buy is Roundup. That's it.
Well, what do you do? Do you just mix it with water?
Mix it with water and water it on.
You'd wonder about that.
And it works for a lot longer.
You'd wonder
as well.
about that. You just said that's all you can buy. It's all you can buy is Roundup.
Yeah.
There's no alternative for Roundup. Is it a monopoly, anybody?
Yeah.
But I thought you mentioned to me there water and salt.
You could put salt. If it's as long as it's not your land, obviously, but on your driveway or something, salt water will certainly kill it. Yeah, definitely. And it'll probably last a lot longer than glyphosate would.
But I've noticed, I mean, I don't know if I'm imagining it with Roundup, but I have used it. I mean, I have to admit I've used it. You know, it won't make me very popular with people. But
I've got some as well. I hate the stuff.
But it seems that the next year, you seem to get worse weeds growing back. I don't, you know.
They get used to it and then adapt. And
there are super weeds. I enlightened Basil to the super weed story the other day. In America, they've got weeds which are now growing 4 and 5 and 6 feet tall. They're resistant to it. They're like bloody triffids. They're going to take over the bloody world.
But that's what happens, isn't it? With nature, it builds
nature
up.
always wins. You can slow it down, but you never win.
Yeah, apart from us, apparently. The weeds thrive.
It's interesting what you just said about things being banned now. So because of the new thing that's been banned out of Ireland now is hydrogen peroxide, food grade hydrogen peroxide, 35%, which I previously used to buy
for mouthwash or something, was it?
Well, like for cleansing purposes and those type of things, and even taking it orally as a H2O2, like to oxygenate the body.
Yeah.
But now they come up with. When I read why they banned it now, is the same. They're making bombs out of it by.
Yeah.
So see, once you come up with that excuse, then everyone says, "Oh, well, that's why." Then, but like you say, you can have Roundup in there that you could go in and buy and drink a gallon of it and kill yourself, and no one's saying anything about it. But
where is this going to end? I mean,
it's incredible,
eventually, right?
And fluoride, Roundup, any poison you want, but not vitamins.
No,
they're awful.
Yeah. I mean, eventually, it's going to become illegal to saw aluminium because you might use the filings to make thermite or something. It's just where does it end?
That's right.
It's just crazy.
You've got a chart there, David. Have we been ignoring it?
No, that one I was just keeping as a reference. If I'm going to be sort of looking at that wheel, you can sort of
look there.
See the organs that's related, the conditions that's related to the organs. So.
Interesting. It's not very good for people on radio listening to us read.
No,
just listen to us read for 10 minutes.
Listen to us read.
No, but like I said, we move into those seasons, we move into those organs. Those are the foods that would actually nourish those organs. And it's really our Creator put the foods up on the planet for us. So quite sensible that we should be eating foods in season, indigenous to the environment.
Yeah. So moving on then from summer. Going into autumn.
Yeah, we have 2 seasons in Chinese medicine. We have the summer, and then we have what we call a late summer. So
interesting, because there actually is 2 seasons. Anybody who grows anything will realise there's the late spring rather than early summer, and then there is the late summer.
Yeah. So we have those particular organs. So and always that transition time. We always look at the first month as a transition time. So when you come into the summer, it's quite natural. What will be growing out there? All these green leafy vegetables. We'd be taking in more salads. So we'd be rebuilding the body basically with enzymes and vitamins and juices, those types of things. To get those type of foods into you for the summer to start building the body for the summer.
I don't know about most people, but for me, I know of illnesses and ailments that are connected to summer, like hay fever, and winter you've got your seasonal affective disorders and that kind of psychological stuff. I'm not aware of any ailments that are autumnal or in spring. I've never heard of. Do you know an illness that crops up in autumn?
Spring, there is, because in actual fact, if I typed in, if I got a patient come in with sciatic, and I remember I'd said, "Oh, when would I see you last time?" 3 years ago, David, it was, and I'd bring their name up on the computer almost within a week or definitely within a month.
Yeah,
the same situation comes up. The 2 times that those type of things come up is springtime, which we call regeneration time. When you see the weeds coming up, the body's going through that regeneration time. And then when you see the leaves dropping off the trees at autumn, that's degeneration time, where the body's shutting down.
Yeah.
So we got those two areas that really that would be my busy time. Most people, I would say, if I get them well, and they say, well, when should I come back? I say, look, remember me spring, remember me autumn. And I always say, when the weeds are coming up, and then when the leaves are dropping off the tree.
Yeah.
So those are the two times I like them to come in for a little service, basically.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, because any weak links that are in the body, they're the transition times that they will normally show.
Yeah.
And it's common for sciatic type problems to come up in springtime and autumn time.
Yeah.
And the springtime, because people are getting out, cleaning out the shed and all, they're doing more as well. So, and if they're not taking care of themselves nutritionally with that transition, that weak link's going to show. It's as simple as that.
What about sleep? Because I know for me, what I tend to do, I don't know if you do this, in the winter I'll sleep while it's dark. And in the summer, I'll sleep while it's dark. So in the summer, I'll sleep much less. And in the winter, I'll stay in bed much later.
Yeah.
And the winter doesn't bother me at all anymore.
No.
I used to hate winter, and now it passes just as quickly as summer.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
Everyone's an individual, Mark, but I would agree with that. Sort of get up when it's light and go to bed when it's dark. Don't eat too late at night. If you're going to bed with a full stomach is not good, obviously.
Yeah.
Chew your food very well is very important, because a lot of people with digestive problems is because they're chewing and yum and then washing it down.
That would be me
with a drink, and then, so you're washing the enzymes out of the mouth, which should be there to break down the food.
Yeah.
And then when the digestive juices are coming out to break down the food that you put in, you're watering them down, diluting them basically.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how many people would say what you just said or like me. And if I got the husband there, because the husband's coming with the wife, she's got all these digestive problems straight away. He said, I told you, you never chew your food, yum, and wash it down.
That would be me. I'd use 2 forks if I could get away with it.
Well, I was always told to chew.
Chew well.
I was told, I just never listened.
And the thing about chewing is, well, you'll eat less.
Exactly.
If you're trying to lose weight.
Your stomach knows that you're about to receive food and adjusts accordingly. Apparently that's why chewing gum makes you hungry.
Yeah.
Because your stomach goes, food on the way.
That's right, exactly.
And the brain allegedly is meant to take 20 minutes to realise you've eaten or something like that.
So as soon as you're chewing, you're producing these enzymes. They're trying to work out what particular food you got there so that it can produce the particular acids that need in the stomach. For a protein, it would be hydrochloric acid, and for starches, all the carbohydrates, it would be an alkaline medium in the stomach.
Wow.
So that's very important, the way the digestive system works and identifies food and the transition time of that particular food before it goes from the stomach to the small intestine. It's quite interesting.
Well, speaking of food and chewing, is there any natural toothpaste that you would endorse or use or anything like that? Is there any herbal toothpaste?
Hydrogen peroxide again is another very good cleanser.
But we're not going to get that now.
You can still get it in 3%, 6% from the, but you can't buy it food grade, which we would take orally, administer it orally, and 35% food grade. Yeah. But cleaning the teeth and doing those types of jobs, the one you get from the health food, from the Kemp pharmacy, you can still get. You do those particular things. Salt is another one. The old people used to say soot.
They did. And what about bicarbonate of soda?
Yeah, that's another very good one.
That's a strong one.
And there is some toothpaste that you can buy from
I've got
the
herbal ones.
Have you?
Yeah, you can get them now. So.
Because if you look closely on any regular fluoridated
that's what I was just about to say.
There's a warning on it.
If swallowed, consult
pea-size
consult a doctor immediately.
Frightening,
If you look up the history
that's
of
because of the fluoride in it.
If you look up the history of fluoride, the reason why they came up with that pea-sized amount is because pea-sized amount was the exact dose, word for word. That's even the term they used. Yeah. They used to use it to control hyperthyroidism, and they used sodium fluoride for that before they invented the modern equivalent, and that was their thing, and it was pea-sized amount. That was the exact dose. I remember reading it clearly and laughing, and because it goes to your pineal gland, if I remember correctly, and affects it at that level.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I won't mention pineal gland.
No. At least you'll be pronouncing it right this week.
I called it the penal gland.
right,
He got great entertainment.
Yeah, no, it's all very interesting. As I say, so when you get talking about these things, how you have to go back one step and one step and one step to really get to the real cause.
It's amazing what they let you have and what they don't let you have. That's just the conclusion I'm coming to.
Yeah, follow the money.
Anything good for you is a no-no.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But why is anything good more expensive? And anything that's bad for you is cheap. That rule seems to follow everything, whether it's medicine, food, or anything. All things that are good.
But with the vitamins, it seems to be a way to keep you going to the doctor and keep you paying, Is it a pharmaceutical company?
Yeah, who's pushing the Codex thing?
Yeah, who is pushing it, you see?
Well, it's petrochemical, pharmaceutical, the whole crap.
And if you can't stay healthy, they're going to sell you a much more expensive drug as a cure rather than a cheap prevention.
Right. Yeah.
See, there was a big difference with me going to the, the chemist to get my John's wort, then going to the doctor, paying the doctor, and then paying for the... Whatever he's going to give me, Valium.
To see the doctor, it's going to be sort of 50 quid, thank you very much, just to get through the door.
But then he's
going to want a prescription, which is yet more money. And the chemist will want more money.
Yes. See,
and then you'll be back every month for that. And it's going to be a lot more expensive than John's wort, which is, in England, you can buy it's like
that's right.
pennies.
And they're controlling it, and they're telling you whether they think it's going to be right for you.
He might say, no, I think actually you might be better on Valium or Xanax and
lithium in your case.
Lithium or...
if there's more of a promotion for that particular drug, then obviously that's the way it's going to go.
What people don't realise is drug companies, and if you're in a doctor's surgery for any length of time, you'll find one of them coming in. They've got reps that go around, like any other sales company, pushing stuff, and they say, well, we've got 3 for 2 on Prozac this week, and I wonder whether or not the prescription rate goes up that week. Who could say?
Yeah, we got a holiday at the end of the year if you get their targets,
Yeah.
But see, there's all of that going on.
That's not far from the reality.
When they're taking your health out of your hands,
Yeah,
frightening.
When it becomes a business.
A business, exactly.
And you're the product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's it. So something I've been involved in all my life. Frustrating now to think you can't even look after yourself, let alone look after the patient.
It is crazy.
They're making it increasingly hard.
Why you would want to do that, you'd have to question the motives.
That's what absolutely. Well, money.
Yeah, money primarily.
Yeah, money, control and power.
Yeah. So, summer, after late summer, I think you called it, going into autumn?
Yeah.
What's next on the list?
From the summer, we got stomach and spleen. We move into to stomach. Then we got lung and large intestine as we move in then to the autumn time. That.
So that you look out for more problems in those areas.
Yeah, because when I was actually doing Chinese medicine, more of patent formulas that I had on the shelf. Every season that come in, I found that those particular herbs for those particular organs was shifting off the shelf. Right. So they would be coming in with those related conditions for those particular seasons. So we know it matches up. And now with my quantum technology, and I'm scanning people an energetic level, you can actually see it again, the particular organs that show up on those seasons, But then I tell people, don't panic, like when if the kidney and bladder's coming up, because now we're in the winter time, that's typical kidney and bladder deficiency time. Explain it and can show them charts that's related to it, and they say, it makes sense. And I always do feel that I have that kidney infection, or I'm off to the loo more in this particular transit time. So once we can actually do it, find it from the scan where the weakness is, and I can show them what it's related to in the wheel on the seasons, and it all matches up, and it matches up with their symptoms, they're quite happy to take my advice. If it doesn't, I've got to try and investigate and find out what could be causing that particular condition, because most times it's not worth treating the symptom. You've got to find out what's causing that symptom.
Well, that's modern medicine generally all over, isn't it? Treating symptoms rather than causes. I mean, if you go in and say, I've got a pain in my arm, they'll give you painkillers.
Exactly.
Rather than find out why your arm's in pain.
Exactly.
It just seems to be insane to me.
Yeah, and the way you work, David, you find out what's wrong with it.
Exactly. Well, I had a vet in just the other day. I was telling Mark earlier that, when he come in, and I said to him, I work a little bit like you. He said, what, you a vet? I said, oh, no. I said, but your animals don't tell you what's wrong with them, do they?
Yeah.
He said, no. Yeah. So I said, well, I like to investigate when I get someone in do some muscle testing and ask a lot of questions and find out all their symptoms, and from all that, be an investigator and find out what's actually causing the problem. So he said, yeah, I agree with you.
Because as I said, your GP will ask you what's wrong with you.
You're
Well, you
telling-
don't
yeah.
always know.
No, no,
You're just not feeling well.
That's your question.
no.
You tell me.
I think a lot more of that now, Basil, as well. You know, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just depressed. Frustrating.
Oh, we were cracking on for time. We'd better press on through these through these seasons. Yeah, we're
Okay,
going on.
okay.
What season? Well, tell me what season comes after that then, because you're using the Chinese system.
Yeah, so we got all the seasons. They're all marked out, and I show people when they come in. Winter is kidney and bladder, as I said to you. Then we got autumn time is lung and large intestine. Late summer is the stomach and spleen. And some stomach is heart and small intestine. And then the spring, liver and gallbladder. So they're the particular seasons. They're all marked out. I can when I find out people's particular weakness or deficiency, then I can get them up and I can show them this little wheel where the seasons fits, where the organs fit, and if it's related to that. And they say, that's funny you should say that, because every spring I do get that coming up. It always seems to be this time of year that I get that weakness. So
Is this? We've got a little circular diagram here. Looks like a horoscope almost. Is this driven by monitored effect, or is this somebody's idea of what they should fit? I mean, did somebody first notice that they had lots of problems in that time of the year, and then the chart came from that, or are they saying that this is what?
Based on Chinese medicine, that's what it worked on. Like,
right. So
the
it's not like you're saying your heart will have problems in this time of year.
No.
We have observed that at this time of year people do tend to have problems with that,
and we would always nourish that particular organ which would be weak on that season.
So it's based on effect then.
Yes.
So I suppose it's not going to be black and white limited to that then, because obviously going to be people who are out of season or
definitely.
Yeah. All right, I was wondering about that. I was wondering if it's based on the actual effect, so it's reversed.
No, it's just a good chart to look at. That when you get people in, it's almost like when I'm working from their feet, which are like when I work with their feet. The feet are like the roots of a tree, so you get a lot. You can diagnose quite quickly the actual picture of the body from the feet. Reflexologists would just use the feet, but I find it as a very quick tool for diagnosing where the actual congestion is in the body, where the energy is blocked in the body. So we have to match up their emotions, their physical conditions when they come in. We put the whole picture together and the symptoms they're giving me. Then I work out in between there where the cause could be coming from. And with the background of Chinese medicine, I put that picture together, and normally then I can pinpoint where it's coming from.
Is it that the bottom of the soles of the feet correspond with a certain part of the body?
Oh yeah, every organ in the body fits in there. Yeah. It's like the root of the tree. You damage the root, the apples won't produce.
I see. Yes,
so
makes sense.
So, the foot to me seems very strange, because you've got arteries and vessels down there, which and you're walking around on these things, and you've got blood vessels down there which are just destined to be cut on broken glass and things. You've got all your nerve endings in your feet, and it seems to be the last place in the world that you would want all those things to be going on. What's that all about?
Well, again, because we're wearing all these plastic shoes and all that, we're not grounding ourselves. And there's a new big thing coming up now, that grounding sandals and all that of actually. And in quantum physics, we understand that if you're flying, you're going to be messed up with your polarity. The energies of the body are going to be messed up for a little bit while you're flying. But as soon as you come back down, if you're healthy enough and you touch the floor again, earth yourself out, a lot of these problems will correct themselves. So earthing's very important. Geopathic stress is another big thing. I'm not an expert in it, but I do know that it will affect those particular.
I've had experience of it. But the chap in Escorty you're talking about, Brendan, is it?
Oh yeah.
We had him out to the house, and it's extraordinary. The bed I was sleeping in at the time. Two things I had. I had very, very bad feet, very sore feet, and I was getting up every night to urinate.
Right.
Sorry to
But do carry on.
But I wasn't in the house. But he came when he came as my partner at the time. He said, "Whoever's sleeping in the bed will be getting up to urinate every night and will have trouble with their feet.
Yeah.
He was spot
Oh,
on.
yeah.
The bed was moved within a month.
You're back, yeah.
I never got up again in the middle of
Very
the night.
important.
Extraordinary.
With the quantum physics, we can diagnose that as well.
You mention
know.
quantum physics a lot now. Is this a new thing with you, Dave? Or?
Well, it's about 5 years now I've been involved with a company in England
do tell.
called NES, Nutra-Energetic Systems, NES.
NES.
Nutra-Energetic Systems. And it's basically computer software with a hand plate, and people put their hand on the plate. It takes the information into the computer because we have this energy field that we all have. Explaining that when I'm doing my Japanese system, Jin Shinjitsu, like I can explain to people, we've got curling photography now where they can actually take a picture of you and see these energies. And going back to the professor in Malaysia that's treating breast cancer patients very successfully, he's been using thermal imaging for detecting the breast cancer, and he reckons that he can detect the cancer 5 years prior to when it starts with the thermal imaging.
Blimey.
And it took Sophie had a test there done, and she was all right with the breast, but non-invasive rather than going for these mammograms and all these other tests which are not proven to be as effective as they want you to believe
Sounds
they are.
interesting.
So thermal imaging is a big thing in Canada and certain places, and it was very interesting to actually see that. And with curling photography, quantum physics tends to say in the future what we'll do, we'll go into a room in the future and they'll take a picture of you and they'll see where the weaknesses are energetically before they even become physical, which I agree with, because you see that like that energetic level going before the actual physical manifestation breaks down.
Would it be unfair to get you to explain quantum physics for people who may not know?
Not in the next 3 minutes.
Oh, is it? Oh, God.
Well, it's all based on energy and information, basically. You know, quantum is that leap, but it's based on our body is just a bundle of energy held together by consciousness.
Right.
So
I think that's a whole other episode, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I agree with you. I know what you're saying there.
I'm not a physicist, but I mean, I've been studying it now for the years I've been involved in it. Very interesting.
It's all heading that way, isn't it?
Yeah. And the Chinese, when they're talking about these meridians in the organs, they know that the organs vibrate at that certain frequency.
Wow.
That's all mapped out, and the meridians that come from one organ to the other, like an electrician basically pushing the fuses back in, and then the lights come on and you're very happy with it. That's similar work that I do, pressing all the fuses back until we get a connection with mind, body, and...
We're all made of molecules and atoms, electrons and protons, and we don't even really know what they are.
No, true. We don't know enough about it.
Well, mostly nothing.
Mostly nothing. But
Mostly nothing.
It must be
Empty space,
something.
aren't we? 99.9%
Empty space. But what is that?
Mostly empty.
What is that energy there? Is there something there? It's not.
No,
air.
when we say us, Basil, we mean you.
And then when we get into sort of quantum physics, sometimes you're going a little bit over the head of other people where they want to just get the nuts and bolts of, no, I got this problem, just tell me what it is.
That's fair enough, isn't it?
But I'm quite happy to do that. And maybe we could even get Peter Fraser, the guy that developed all this, and you could have a chat to him. He's a very heavy-going guy, because he's one of these whiz kids of gang that, but I'm sure you'd have a nice little session with him talking about...
I just keep nodding.
Yeah.
Yeah. I imagine you'd have equally large amounts of notes as you had today.
Oh, yeah. Well, you'd need that for him because
this tells you exactly what goes on here. We started off today, and Basil's notes was basically a blank page, and he's ended the hour with a page full of notes. That's the wrong way around.
Well, I know something now.
That's your notes for next time, I imagine.
No, you won't catch me next time because I'll study a bit more. Now being 61, like the Alzheimer's creeping in a little bit.
Thank God for that.
I should just mention Cliff Richard syndrome here because he doesn't look 61.
No, he doesn't.
He looks about 30.
Oh yeah, well I had lots of comments yesterday. I was at a friend's house where the girl had gone for communion, and it was lovely there when I got 4 or 5 people that hadn't seen me for a month saying, well, you're looking really well, David, so that was nice. Nice when you've gone and done a fast and you've had a clean up and you get comments.
And you do look great, actually.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
He's doing something right, isn't he?
Is that it?
I'm sorry to be a clock watcher.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I've got music going.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure. Thank you very much. Lovely to meet you lads again.
Thank you, David, and thank you to everybody for listening. This has been the Out There Hour.
The Out There Hour on Alternative Future Radio. The Out There Hour with Basil and Mark. www.alternativefutureradio.com. Yay!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the marvellous Out There Hour, home of rest for intelligent ideas and silly people.
Time now for the Out There Hour on Alternative Future Radio. The Out There Hour with Basil and Mark. www.alternativefutureradio.com.
Why? Why?
Again, we've got a board full of jingles,
We have a board full of jingles.
and they're all better than that one.
And yet you choose that one every time.
Every time I
What is
play
wrong
that
with
one.
you?
The other one's great. Unless you know. Not bad.
The Out There
fine.
Hour on Alternative
Much nicer
Future
than the
Radio.
other
Why
one.
don't you play that one?
Because I know it bugs you.
Good morning.
Good morning, good evening.
And afternoon.
Well, we're in the studio again, and we've got Dr. David Hunt in the studio.
Thank you.
Live, everybody, live. This means he can see us. When we've got blank expressions, he can actually tell.
Yeah, he can tell that we don't have another question when we don't have another question.
We've got our notes in full in front of us.
That's a blank piece.
Lots and lots of these Irish, particularly farmers, have got lots of sayings
yeah.
about what to do at different times of year. There are countless numbers of them, I've heard.
Right. But it really is, proven to be the right decision. Don't shed now till May is out, because we're going through that sort of spring detox still until we move into the summer. So,
And when you say shed, how are people shedding things? What are they shedding? And
well, you get into this thing, they're going to start going out tidying up their shed,
Right.
their tools,
Right.
and they'll go out there, start thinking about what they're going to be painting and doing
Yeah.
a bit of weeding and all these. So this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
this transition time, It's
Like a spring
bit
clean
of
almost, yeah.
exactly. Where that word comes from, spring clean, that means a detox. When I was young, my mother being a Wexford woman, we used to get syrup of figs and a worm dose, but no one ever does it now. But when I do talk to farmers that come in about this, they say, you're right, David, we still do it for the animals, we just forgot to do it for ourselves. So farmers confirm the very thing that I'm trying to educate people on, is this spring clean is very important to clean the liver up, clear out the toxins and parasites, bacteria and viruses from the body, so that we can move nicely into a transition time of real summer, where we can then patients that are on depression drugs, they're on
Much more effective, I
St John's
think.
Wort.
you go down the back of my seating area.
Yeah.
You can pick your own. It's a small yellow flower.
Well, I
very
will
nice.
do. Thanks very much.
Yeah,
Don't tell anybody though, because you're not allowed to do that.
Well, that's why I want some lessons off of you, Mark, for all this foraging, because I want to get into that myself.
Yeah, that's an awfully good point. The John's Wort was a great thing, and many people. It's a bit different. It's fine when you can go in and buy it yourself, but going to a doctor and all that kind of thing, and the expense of the consultation.
Yeah. Well, my patients, when they come in that particular season, they'll ask me about, is there anything for a worm dose? I just give them the literature, let them make their own mind up. And with the way the internet is now, you can do your own research. But I find that for myself and my family very good. And it's one I recommend.
But do you make it yourself?
No, it all comes in from her clinic in Switzerland. We buy it from them, so it comes in with the three components, and we give a chart, so it's very slow. You tick it off every day. The drops that you're taking, you build them up. They go up in increments,
That's
and
handy.
then it's a good program.
With modern hygiene standards being better than they were 100 years ago, generally, and people knowing a little bit more about germs.
And start putting live foods into us for rebuilding.
Is there such a thing as a natural worm dose?
Yeah, we actually use one for ourselves and the family that I do recommend to patients when they come in, which is based on Dr. Clark's research, and it's a green black walnut tincture with wormwood and and cloves. We use that particular program. It's a nice slow program, but the whole family can do it, and very easy to do, and it's reasonably priced, and it will be a complete parasitic cleanse.
When you say wormwood, I'm assuming, is that where the name comes from? Is that why wormwood's called wormwood?
Correct. Yeah, they use it. They use that for that reason. And over the years, and because I'm finding it more and more difficult now to source good Chinese herbs that we used to bring in for these things with the Codex Alimentarius legislation, and now we're finding it more and more difficult. Every couple of months, there's another natural product going off the market. Lobelia's under attack now. So these like St John's wort was a few years ago.
Oh, that was a terrible thing.
That's on prescription in this country.
Yeah.
It's on prescription now, but I used to be able to just buy it.
Well, in Germany, if you try to do that in Germany, they'll go bananas there, because they do say about a third of
It's a paper mark, you liar.
Well, this week we're going to talk about seasonal disorders.
Seasonal disorders.
I believe.
Yes, the way foods and eating, we're in season, indigenous to the environment. That's the thing that I thought I would bring up and see how it affects the organs that's related to those seasons. And
how do you want to approach it? Do you want to start at this time of year and work your way around, or
we can start now, because at the moment we're in the summer season, but we're actually in transition season from spring to summer, which means that we're still dealing with liver conditions. We should be still taking a cleanse for the liver, a detox for the liver. Yeah. And a lot of people seem to think that when we come into the summer season, as is now May, that everything's all right, start shedding things. But you've probably heard this old Irish expression. I've heard it many a time myself from patients that come in. Don't shed now till May is out, which is a good rule of thumb, because the Chinese do look at this particular month as this transition from spring into summer. So that really stands quite well, that don't shed now till May is out.
Yeah, I think